Just kidding, it's me, Brian! Coming back with another review today. This movie is now 40 years old. And it's, well, may have something to say about people who shut themselves off from reality around them, which is something that we're definitely dealing with more so these days now than ever with, phones and everything. It's tearing us all apart. Maybe this movie has something to say about it. Or maybe it has nothing to say at all, but we'll just have to find out when we review today's movie from 1975, Tommy. Do you think it's alright to shoot a review outside? Do you think it's alright with crazy kids and motorcycles going by? I think it's alright. Today's film is Tommy from 1975, directed by notoriously crazy, off-the-wall, prolific director Ken Russell, who was very popular in the 1970s. It's a musical film, completely musical, no dialogue to further the story, all music. So if you're not into that, just turn back now, okay? And it's adapted from this album of original music from 1969, The Who's Tommy, the rock opera that started it all. I like how the record label or whoever insisted that they take pictures of themselves and put it on the cover, because this was still back in the day where it's like, come on, The Who, no one's gonna buy your album if they don't know it's yours. I can't help but think this review could be slightly more needlessly over the top and campy. The film also features a myriad of random-ass musical and non-musical celebrities, including Elton John, Tina Turner, Eric Clapton, Jack Nicholson, Arthur Brown's in it for like 2 seconds. You also get some band members of The Who, particularly Roger Daltrey, who plays the titular character of Tommy. And the film's 2 stars, Anne Margaret and Oliver Reed. Anne Margaret, of course, got an Oscar nom for this performance, if I'm not mistaken, and Oliver Reed was an extremely popular actor of that time period in the early to mid-70s, and he had previously worked with Mr. Russell on a movie called The Devils. Might review that one. So you've got a couple who meets, they have a son, the husband goes off to war, we think he dies, the woman finds a new lover, the husband comes back finding the 2 of them together and kills this lover, but Tommy witnesses this happening, so the shock of this event causes him to become blind, deaf, and not to be able to talk. You can't say dumb anymore. And by and large, the film follows this, although there's a couple little changes, like Oliver Reed's character actually kills the husband instead of the other way around, and it takes place in the 50s instead of the 20s. And the actual quality of the soundtrack music varies over the course of the film, even sometimes varies within the same song. A lot of the music is pretty good and entertaining. It's nice hearing new versions of these songs from the album that I'm so familiar with. And even a couple of the songs hold a candle to, or maybe are a slight improvement on the original. Sally Simpson comes to mind, which sounds like The Who if they were actually Stephen Stills. The film's completely plastered, both on alcohol and whatnot, but also plastered in pretty crazy, outlandish, sometimes amazing sets and exteriors. It's a very imaginative film. It's a pretty fun ride. Extremely over the top, extremely campy. So while this film is pretty imaginative and it looks like it was fun for everyone involved to make, I could be wrong, and it feels very 70s. They're still using that kind of like pull in and pull out, which they almost never do anymore. There's a lot to be said about how fucking awkward this movie is. Maybe, perhaps, the sequence where they're doing Smash the Mirror and Anne Margaret's literally going like, and there's a sound effect like that going like, and there's all this Roger Daltrey kind of like frolicking around, no shirt on, just running through a field like. Okay, here's one of my big problems with this movie. Give Keith Moon a bigger part. Come on, he steals every fucking scene he's in. He's a complete psychopath. He only had 3 or 4 years to live. Just let him take the part, man. Apparently there was a, if I remember correctly, a rumored squabble between he and Oliver Reed. He's a very amusing character when you see him on talk shows and stuff, but like the whole tough guy persona and stuff, and his performance in this movie, especially his singing, my god, the singing. Not pleasing to the ears, I would say. And Margaret too, my god. Surprisingly, Jack Nicholson doesn't even give a hammy performance. He's very restrained. So is Eric Clapton. After every time I've watched this movie, I've felt like, my god, that was a fucking taxing experience. I need to like go to sleep now. Or B, it feels like I just drank like expired Diet Pepsi or something. It just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I don't know. You know, it's kind of tough when you're doing an adaptation of something that a lot of people hold sacred, like an album such as Tommy, and you're definitely going to get that fallback from fans like you would with a movie that I already reviewed, The Wall, where it's like, hey man, this isn't exactly the same way that I saw this movie being made. It's the same as when you turn a book into a movie. There's always going to be that section of the crowd that are just like, well, this isn't how I imagined it in my mind when I first saw it. At the same time, there's probably a huge amount of people who have never listened to the original album, just came into it from seeing the original movie. In this movie, there's a lot of literal interpretations of what's on the original album, which both works and doesn't work for the movie. And there's also this kind of like level of spiritualism, those sort of themes that were kind of like left over from the late 60s that didn't really transition into this version. You know, you could even make a more literal interpretation of that in what I was saying before, with people being kind of cut off in society from each other now, with communication devices and whatnot, which actually further alienates us all instead of bringing us together. Wow, that was so deep, Ryan. You only stumbled across your words like 3 times. I will say that it is entertaining. It's definitely indulgent and a bit much at times, and after viewing you're gonna maybe want to drink a lot of water. I definitely questioned my own existence several times while watching this film. Kind of like, you know, what am I doing with my life? It's about 3 in the morning. I have work tomorrow. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. Right after that you had Quadrophenia. Well, not right after, about 4 years later. You had Quadrophenia, which took a little bit of a different route this time. If you are interested in me covering the entire Tommy album at your next bar mitzvah or dinner party, or the next time you're lonely, maybe in the little middle hours of the night, well, just let me know and I'll come with the guitar and play the whole album. Or I'll just play the album for you, you know, bring it on vinyl and just stand there and watch you listen to it. Well, alright. I guess the first outside review was a moderate success, so thanks for watching. And, you know, I do hope you stay sexy.